Everyone, again, we're a few minutes late here, but I apologize. Technology is keeping us on our toes here, and we're all still learning a little bit. So bear with us. I want to welcome you all to the Jackson County Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, April 21st of 2020. And we are again on by electronic means. We're a Zoom meeting, and we welcome everybody with us. Luana here is in the background. Our executive assistant, Lisa, is right there on top. She's across the hall, so she's close. Larry McDevitt, Jack Willie, and myself, Mike Steinis, are your county supervisors. First on our agenda today is Clark Slows, our Jackson County engineer. Good morning, Clark.
Good morning. First item on the agenda is driveway permits, 3 of them. 2 field entrance permits and 1 residential, all meet the site distance requirements. The first one is for Rodney and Sherry Schnorr. This will be on 150th Street on the north side. This will be for a residential drive.
You need to turn your camera for the thing. Oh, we get your shoulder. There we go.
Second one for Bill Tabor.
I'll turn it back there.
Monmouth Township, Section 16. This will be a field entrance.
I was picking on you, Clark. That's all.
Third one is for Larry McMurray, Perry Township, Section 28 on 117th Street on the north side, field entrance. All 3 are being recommended for approval.
Motion to second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the driveway permits for Rodney and Sherry Schnorr, Phil Tabor, and Larry McMurray as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Oh, thank you.
Next item, the union has voted and they would like to request the 4-day work week. This is solely up to the decision of the Board of Supervisors. We're going to grant that or not. If you do that, it would start Monday, June 1st and go to the last Friday before Labor Day, which would be September 4th. My opinion is I'm not in favor of the 4-day work week. Call me old-fashioned, but I believe the public expects us to be there Monday through Friday. Last year, we didn't do it, but it is strictly a Board of Supervisors call.
Well, I agree with Clark. I think the public does expect us to be there 5 days a week, and I think that's what we should do.
The year before last, we had excessive amount of rain, and I had multiple calls on Fridays. And last year, I can honestly say I don't think I had one. I think they appreciate that we're there. They're out there doing it too. So, yeah, I guess I would be in favor of not a 4-day work week.
I would second that. If that was a motion from Jack.
Yeah, I would move that we have them work a 5-day work week.
I have a motion and a second to have the secondary road employees work a 5-day work week as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Okay. Unless there are any other questions or comments, that's all we have for the week. We're working on Iron Bridge Road as part of that resurfacing project.
Can you tell me, Clark, I went down there and they are doing the approaches. So then from there, do they directly go right into the resurfacing project, or is there a
that would be, once the bridge approach work is done, the next phase is doing the milling and then resurfacing.
Can you tell me who does the milling belong to the contractor?
Correct.
So after our public discussion last week of people taking down the barricades, have you had any problems since then?
No, we kind of put a big V plow, and they took it. Even if they wanted to remove the barricades, they would have to move the V plow, and they would have to go through some effort to do that. So we haven't had any problems with that. Pretty soon we'll be removing that V plow, and, once they approach.
Sure.
Hopefully the weather, especially maybe the rain, the next couple of days isn't severe or long lasting.
What about Light Oak Bridge? Is that secure now or?
Oh, the 100, yeah, we haven't had anybody try to, how should we say, remove the guardrail
Okay.
on that. I think they finally got the hint that it's closed for a reason.
Yeah, all you'd have to do is walk down under there and you would understand.
Yeah,
Well-
if you, let's say you get the guardrail off and you're driving over that with, today's farm equipment, you're taking a big risk.
And we completely understand that it's a really inconvenience for many people. There are several people anyway.
Yeah, when you put those either road closed or bridge out or bridge closed, they're up there for a reason. We just didn't forget, complete the work and take them down. If we didn't remove the barricades, we would set them down or either cover them with plastic so that, the message is blacked out so you don't see that.
Okay, Clark, thanks you.
All righty, thank you, Jim.
I've been on several of the roads. We go out for a drive once in a while and they really look good.
Compared to last year, last year was.
I did find one soft spot slightly, and I'm just like, wow, this is the first one.
There are a few of them out there. They're not near as bad as last year.
Yeah. Thanks, Clark.
All right.
Lisa?
Good morning. I need
Good
a motion
morning.
this morning to approve the minutes of the April 14th, 2020 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith and authorize publication in the official newspapers.
And so we,
Motion and second to approve the minutes of the April 14th, 2020 board proceedings as presented. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
I also need a motion is needed to approve the publication notice of the fiscal year 2020 budget amendment hearing set for May 12th, 2020 at 10 a.m.
So moved.
second.
Is that published? That will be published.
It will be published. You're approving the notice to be published
okay.
and
I apologize.
nope.
I
And
have
I
a motion.
included that information in your packet for your review.
I did see that.
Okay. Lisa,
Yeah.
I know Kelly and I talked last week about Operation New View.
Yeah.
And I talked to Beth, but I haven't gotten a response back. We have a meeting next week. I don't know if she's planning to give me some information then or get a hold of me before that. But as soon as I hear something, I will let you know.
Okay, that's fine.
It was going to
Okay.
include something in there, but we didn't know an amount.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I think Shelley included it if I remember right.
She said she was going to, so
Yes. Okay. All right. We'll get it done.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the publication of the notice of the fiscal year 2020 budget amendment hearing set for May 12th, 2020 at 10 a.m. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And that's all that I have for the board today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
We're just moving right along. Are there any visitors that are online with us today would like to have any comments or concerns heard? I don't really see too many that I don't know. So,
Got Larry there twice.
well, let me see.
Next door here. But
Oh.
Oh, he's probably
okay.
online, yeah. Okay, so we have a work session scheduled at 9:30 and Mr. Hansen's probably not online yet. Would Luann, would you be available?
I bet she is.
She's right here most of the time. She's right here.
All right, we'll start with the calendar this week. 1 o'clock this afternoon, Becky and I will be on a phone call with INWCA, which is our work comp. This is the meeting we usually have about once a year to go over what's going on with our rating and on our workers' comp insurance. So we'll be doing that. At 6 o'clock tonight is a conservation board meeting for Larry. I don't know how they're doing it. She hasn't sent me the information as to whether it'll be a call or a Zoom or how she's.
we are actually doing it in person at Prairie Creek and it will start at 5:30. It's open to the public if they want to come. We're going to kind of show where the cabins would possibly go. I mean, we've got a lot of space out there, so we'll be able to keep our distance. And then we'll have our meeting in the shelter weather committee. It looks like it's going to be a nice day, so. Yeah. We did hire, oh, go ahead.
Okay. 8 o'clock tonight is a Together We Build meeting for Jack. It's a Zoom meeting this time. Wednesday, April 22nd at 9 a.m. is an IRIS conference call for Larry. Thursday, April 23rd at 9 a.m. is an RPA meeting by Zoom for both Jack and Larry. Friday, April 24th at 7 a.m. is a Maquoketa Leadership Team conference call for Larry. And on Monday, April 27th at 1:30, Jack has a conference call with the Mississippi Valley workforce area.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Also at 4 p.m. that same afternoon, Jack has a conference call with Early Childhood Iowa Council. And I believe there's actually a 3:30 meeting in between those two now scheduled for Iowa workforce. That's supposed to be a very short meeting.
Yeah.
And that's a call-in meeting as well. Good thing there's no travel time built in.
So again, Thursday is our weekly LAPC, correct? Meeting at 4.
At 4 o'clock,
That's
yes.
not on there. Yeah.
Correct.
Again,
It's
last week
becoming
was
a weekly meeting. I don't know. She's
right.
formally
Yeah,
said that, but
and
She
But she's
talked
already
last week about
scheduled.
maybe moving it to every other week or something, but then the majority of the people online wanted to
Yeah.
keep it every
We're
week.
still not at our peak, so
Yeah.
I think it's important to stay connected.
And she's already scheduled the next meeting for April 30th, so we're still on the 1 week schedule at this point.
Good.
Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, April 28th at 9 a.m. That will also be an electronic meeting. And that afternoon at 4 is an Operation Review Executive Committee call or conference call for Jack and Larry. You're both on that executive committee now. I think, unless you have something else for me, that's all the business I have for you this week.
well, we appreciate that very much, and we're moving right along here today.
We got a really echo thing going on here. Anybody
Yeah.
else notice that?
I do too. And my,
Everybody muted that I could see, and I don't. We had that before. I don't know if it's coming through that one.
I think yours is coming through my speaker and then it's going back.
It might be a feedback loop because those are so closer together, I don't know.
Can everyone from the public hear us okay? Or is there a lot of background echo noise?
Teresa, can you hear?
Kelly, there's a little bit of echo coming when Mike talks, but I can still understand.
Okay. Better if I talk quieter?
It still echoes.
Yeah, I can hear the echo, actually. I don't know if it's coming from the public one or,
Is it feeding off of Jack and Mike's back to yours? No?
volume.
I'll try it.
Testing 1, 2. Is that a little better? It still has some background. I think it's coming from Larry's. You got a lot of volume.
I'll try it. Or is it still on?
We always did have a little bit of that. Again, we're a little early for our work session. Is there any board commission
Well,
reports?
yesterday we had our mental health commission meeting, and we worked on the budget and approved that and the plan. We there was quite a bit of discussion yesterday about the fact that we don't know when we submit the plan if DHS is going to like it, because we haven't included hiring a children's director. We don't have the funds to do it. And so we decided that we've cut so much of the other programs that we provide that we just decided that we're not going to do it. And if they don't approve the plan because of that, then we'll have to figure out another way. But we did include all of the figures from Muscatine County since they were assigned back to our region. So we'll see what happens with that. But it was a long meeting. We had to review some bylaw changes and 2080 agreement changes, and of course the plan and the budget for the new fiscal year, because that has to be submitted to the state. I think it's by the end of this month or the 1st of May.
Thought it was, yeah.
So we got that all done, and then before that we had our advisory council to the mental health, and that went pretty smoothly. That's just kind of giving them an overview of what the commission's been doing. So it's that was busy. Last week we had our annual meeting for Limestone Bluffs RC&D, and John Bell was again elected chairman. And there's a lot of things happening with that, and the board, basically under the direction of Tom, is going to try to revamp or re-stimulate the byways, the scenic byways, because it's kind of was taken over by an RC&D group up in northeast Iowa, and they really haven't done much since they took it over. And so Tom is going to be trying to put some things together to present to the board on trying to re-stimulate the scenic byway. So,
Well, yeah, as far as the mental health goes and in the children's services, we were surely anticipating that our state legislature would have made some decisions by now, but of course that's not happening. So,
and what Lori said yesterday is that the Department of Human Services told her that, of course, they sent all the legislators home. And if they do come back, she says it's very unlikely they will do anything about mental health. There's several bills they have to act on. They'll act on those and then they'll adjourn for the rest of the year.
nice.
So they will not be providing additional funding for mental health. It doesn't sound like this year. So I really don't know what we're going to be able to do.
Well, if the funds are out there, there's only so much you can do, and we hope that the public and the people in need get what they really legitimately need, and the service that we can provide stays relevant to our issues, I guess.
Right. And then last week we also did have an Operation New View meeting to discuss our merger with ACAP. ACAP is going to start providing. It was actually John Wilson's last meeting with us. And I thought he got a little emotional towards the end because he was going to be here 6 months and he was here over 2 years. So
Well, he did a tremendous amount of work, from what
Yes,
I
he-
can see,
yes,
for
he
that
did.
program.
and so he told us all goodbye, and he told Laura if she needed him, she could still call him. But they're supposed to be providing us with management from ACAP for the next, until the merger takes place October 1st.
Well, that's good, yeah. And I see that your workforce development meetings are still coming as regularly.
Yeah,
So,
we're supposed to be
is it
having
Miranda? Is it Steph?
Miranda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She seems like she's doing a tremendous amount of work also. So,
she's wonderful. But I can't, so far, Luann, last week, we need to meet this week to approve the RFP. And so far, Tiffany has not gotten back to us, so I asked Luann to check with Jeremy to see if we couldn't get him to
the echo is gone since then.
Put it on headphones.
I'm sorry.
just see if he can't get our Zoom meeting scheduled. Because we have to have the full board approve that, not just the CEOs.
Mhm.
So, and it's got to be done this week, so.
See, Rick has joined us.
I see Rick was there. Any, I don't see John yet, but is there any other commission reports? I see we got the minutes for the conservation meeting tonight. Nice to look at them.
Did hire a new ranger, Caitlin Joseph.
With a K or a C?
Youslif.
Oh, I mean Caitlin.
Caitlin K.
Okay. Well, there's some with a C and some with a K. So, yeah, we'd be happy to meet her someday too if they could. If Nathan wanted to bring her in.
I don't
Is
know, her
this-
name was spelled how.
Youslif, I think. Yeah, Nate told me that, and I'm like, okay, help me out here. I don't even know where to start.
SLS.
SLIF, I think.
You better wait to get confirmation on that.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Mhm.
Is that also along with our vegetation program that,
This is to replace Tony, I believe.
oh, Tony,
as a
okay.
ranger. Yeah.
So
Currently, she's
There's
working in
John.
Cedar Rapids area.
Okay. Appreciate them reports. And I see we've been joined by Rick and John. Good morning, gentlemen. I see Rick is muted. John, can you hear me okay? No.
Apparently not.
Hand signals?
Rick, can you hear me? You're mute.
Trying to get so I can hear you, Mike.
Yep, you're good. I can hear
For
you
some
now.
reason, I'm having trouble unmuting Rick here, and I push unmute.
He was unmuted a second ago. I heard him.
See, but I can't.
John, you're good to go again, I think.
Having a little technical difficulty with Rick.
John, can you hear me? Wave your hand. I can't hear you.
I don't have any sound from you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
What do you
Can
think?
you hear Lisa, John?
Good morning, John. Am I?
Guess not. No. Oops.
Hello?
Yep, I can hear you, John.
I can hear you, John. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear us at all, John?
Okay, hang on here a minute here. We're gonna.
Okay, I got you.
You hear me now?
Oh, yeah, now I can.
We're just about ready to call you and say you're gonna have to talk over the phone. That's what
And
Still can't
Turning the
hear.
wrong side of the speaker up, and now I can hear you.
Okay, Rick, you are still muted. Can you hear us okay? Yep, Rick can hear us. Okay, thank you. Well, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good, good. We're had a chance to briefly look over your proposals here. If you want to go through them.
Okay. So I wanted to start with the inmate analysis. That's something that we decided that we wanted to take a look at. And so I updated the inmate analysis with the figures for 2019. And the average daily population during the last 3 years was in the range of 11.45 to 12 inmates per day. And the average length of stay was an average of about 13.23 days per inmate. So for every inmate you had in there, they were in there for approximately 13 days apiece. As far as the ratio of females to males, that stayed pretty consistent. with approximately 21% being females and 79% of the population being male. And in 2019, the number booked into your facility was 567 compared to 2018, which was 444, which is about a 28% increase in bookings. So I guess were there any questions regarding that? Or-
No,
I guess that sounds pretty dramatic. Is there any explanation for a 28% increase? Do you know?
In the booking amount, no. The thing is that these projections, you have certain spikes. I mean, you've had spikes in inmate population up to 26 inmates, but those are hard to calculate, and those come, you have them once in a while, and then other times you're going to have spikes, downward spikes, that you won't have that many individuals.
This may be a silly question. If they're booked, does that mean they're also jailed or not necessarily?
Oh, there is a lot more arrests than that. Yeah, these are just booked and jailed,
Okay,
booked into the facility.
at least for a night. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, at least for a night, at least for 24 hours. So you currently have about 40 individuals sentenced to serve time on a work release basis that have not served their time due to lack of space and need to transport them outside of the facility. Even with a minimum 1% population growth, I think that we heard that in the meeting. I said your daily population is going to be in the range of 16 and 20 years and 18 and 40 years. And using a 2%, your population could be 32 and 40 years. Now, when we did that originally, based on other counties, we based it on a 5% increase, which is typical for a lot of the counties, and that came up to 32 and 20 years. So, I mean, I've tried to just play the lower end of it, also. So, any questions regarding that? I mean, that's what we wanted to look at as a group between the supervisors and myself is the lower growth rate.
Right. I mean, it's hard to anticipate anything like that, and we don't know what the judicial system is going to do in 20 years.
Yeah.
We don't know what the programs they might come out with, bracelets, so on and so forth. So I guess we don't know that.
Yeah. The one thing that we have seen is that the crimes that have been committed that people are being arrested for are more serious than what we experienced when we were younger, So that's why I think we're seeing the average length of stay increase. The thing that kicks your jail population is if you have people staying in there 13 days at a time or longer in some cases, then your average daily population, of course, increases just even if your arrests stay consistent or your bookings stay consistent.
Yeah.
So, I guess I talked about the problems with the existing conditions, and I think that all of us are aware that, there's a video out there and that the existing conditions, we have some liability there as far as hanging hazards, inability to separate violent from non-violent offenders, and safety to the staff and getting around inside to that facility. The thing that I brought up that, that just came up recently is this COVID-19 virus. We've been dealing with a lot of jails on that and the possible liabilities and challenges that's bringing to the county jails. If somebody commits a serious offense and you bring them in, Uh, the newer facilities have that, like we've designed, have that negative air pressure where we can isolate the individual and not expose the staff and other inmates to it. But if you bring someone in there and you find out that they have or have, or contract that COVID virus, the jail that you currently have does not have any negative air pressure or any way to isolate those individuals. So the one thing that concerns me is that we're using that return air to heat the facility and basically exposing everybody to the COVID virus. So do you ship, if you have one with COVID, it's going to be difficult to get rid of them. And, no one's going to want to accept them. And do we turn everybody else loose, or what do we do? And then I don't know what the liability is going to be on any of this. I think that's never been tested. If we have a person what we know has COVID and we hold them and expose other individuals to it, what's our liability at that point, and exposing the other inmates and staff to this?
Well, I don't foresee, John, that anybody could have been prepared for this. So I can't say that. There's got to be many facilities around that don't have the negative air pressure type isolation rooms. I mean, you can look at your county hospitals or your hospitals, medical clinics. They're the same way. That air is going through the building or through apartment complexes. I mean, we just can't prepare for that. That's something that's, yeah.
I understand that completely. I'm just saying that your newer facility would have that ability, and we have to take that into effect. But basically, I guess the main thing is if we have a person turn up like that, anybody that we bring in after that is going to have to go out of county. So it could add to the county's expense also.
And when you had your numbers on the daily population for the last 3 years, I believe, since 2018.
Yeah.
Do we have the numbers again, new numbers as far as housing out of county and costs?
I received some of the budget sheets. So when we decide on what we're doing as far as a building, I want to get that cost comparison put together. We do have, we do know for a fact that transport to Dubuque County and 2 trips, that the cost per inmate is $240.38. And then to transport to Marshall County, you have a total trip cost of $440.80. That's 2 trips to take them back and forth. And typically you're going to be a lot more than that. But when we decide and we develop this comparison, I don't want to put the comparison out till we decide what we're going to do on the building, because otherwise that's what's going to stick in everybody's mind. So we need to make that decision first.
So John, on your estimates for the last 3 years, how many classifications were needed? Or how many different classifications?
I don't get that information. I don't have that type of information.
Okay.
I mean, I went through the booking records one at a time, and the thing is, you can come up with 20 different classifications, jail inspector says. But what we're trying to do is just prepare and minimize that. Right now, when we get into this, you're going to see that you have a minimum of 8 classifications, but with maintaining the number of individual cells that we maintained in it, then we could possibly even exceed that classification by separating them into individual cells.
Okay, that's one of my concerns, is going from 11 classifications down to 8. I hate to build a whole new facility and still have to transport people out.
I think that with the design that Rick has come up with, that with maintaining the individual cell pods, we would have to let those people out at different times that are differently classified, but it would allow us also the ability to separate up to that 11. So I think what Rick's drawn and the design that you currently will be looking at will allow you to do that and maintain to where you would not have to ship out.
Okay, thank you.
The one other thing is that that I had talked about was the inability. I mean, what we're finding out is a lot of counties aren't accepting anybody at this time. You had one person that had stabbed someone that was transgender, and they had to be taken to Mount Pleasant. I mean, they had called all around trying to get rid of this individual and could not. So you have that problem, you know, at the current time, and I don't think that's news to anybody. We basically have 2, maybe 3 classifications at tops in the existing facility.
Well, obviously, we're not geared for transgender at all.
Well, we hope that don't continue, yeah.
No.
So, you know, and working through this and going through the figures, what we were kind of recommending based at this time is on the current projections and study and to provide a new facility with a minimum of 30 beds and with 8 different classifications. And typically the facilities are built for a 50+ life cycle, 50 to 75 years. So what we recommended was the ability for future expansion, easy future expansion or additions to the building to get the cost down for you.
Okay, Rick, this is Mike. You can see me, right?
Yep.
Or not Rick, but John. I'm sorry, Rick.
Okay.
I'm reading the designs and the estimates, and they are a little, I might be a little slow, but they are a little confusing to me. So estimate number 1, option number 1 is the 30-bed as the diagram you have here without the upper expansion areas, correct? Or is that with them?
It is with the upper expansion area, but not finished.
Okay, so
And
on your
it doesn't,
very first item, you got estimate of probable cost at 61,762. The next line says estimate to provide upper level expansion, 42,504. That is included in that 6161.
yes,
Not finished.
that's
Okay.
not finished. You asked me what, and I have it highlighted there on your plan, upper level expansion areas.
Yep.
That was for providing the concrete to go up the extra 6 foot that we discussed,
Right.
so that we could provide that upper expansional level. So I was asked to provide what that cost was to provide that up. So to add the ability to expand up above is 42,504, but it is included in the overall estimate of $6,161,762.
Okay, just now off the top of your head, without going down any further, how many beds does that do for us? Add.
That adds another 12 beds.
And how many classifications?
You have, those are individual cells, so it would be the medium max classifications, but it'd give you the ability with individual cells to separate additional people.
You didn't give me a number, right? You just said it. It's just how many classifications do you, I mean, are we going to get 11 then? Can we possibly have 11? No?
Yeah, I think that you could. Right now you have 8 classifications as drawn.
Without the upper level?
Without the upper level, but the upper level's in the same cell pod.
Yep.
But you have the individual cells in those 2 cell pods that are highlighted.
Yeah,
that you could separate a pedophile from somebody else, but you would need to let them out into the day room at
right.
separate times.
Yep.
So to tell you exactly how many you got, you could have eight per unit, but on the other hand, it depends on what type of individual you're putting in there.
Yep, I agree. Then so we can hold them in there, release them at different times, exercise at different times, and that's all done from the control area, correct?
But now
And
when-
that's why we maintained individual cells
speaking
for you.
Okay, did you hear that, John?
What's that?
When I asked you if we could get more classifications because at upper level, you said yes, and Rick was shaking his head no. So,
Well, I didn't consider the pedophile thing.
okay,
You know, I mean, I guess it's how much do you want to manage it? But he's right about the pedophile. You could,
okay,
you know, and back to your question about transgender, you can hold a transgender. You've got the special status cells. So you
And the
could put a
new-
transgender if you've got an open special status cell. So yeah, in some ways we've kind of accomplished that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, in the new jail, yes, but currently, no.
no, currently no, but in the new jail. But yeah, I hadn't thought about the pedophile situation, and John is correct. If you had to, you could put them in a single cell in the upper or the lower or the medium or max, and it's just a management problem. Also
So
got
separate
special
cell.
status.
You should have that opportunity.
Right,
Yeah.
you do have the opportunity. I mean, we've tried to get this so that it's kind of up to your jail administrator how he wants to move people around. You know,
Okay, so with
And
that being said,
the other thing I want you to remember too is that you have 2 cells in each pod, upper and lower, that are double bunked. So if we put one person in there that has a certain classification, we may lose one bed in that area.
right? Yeah, it's just it's an administrative situation.
Yeah.
okay, but that's a pretty good option for, okay. I guess my second question, and it's probably in one of these next options, but I'm gonna try to simplify that. We know what it's gonna cost to put them up there. What is it gonna cost to finish each one of them areas?
Option 2, this was the option to finish the cells in the upper level expansion of the west medium max and the east medium max. So on those 2 highlighted sections, those 2
Right.
individual pods, which would mean you'd be looking at the same type of layout on the upper level as the lower level. So you'd gain another 6 up top. Does that make sense?
6 in each area.
6 in each area. That's correct.
Okay, so basically, we're gonna add the 171, so we're talking 343 to the 61, and that would basically 42 bed.
That's correct. And the other thing that I've been trying to explain is that you could set what you want to set. You could say we want to go to 6.3 and we're going to do what we want to do. But we could bid those upper levels as what we call an alternate. So the contractors would provide a price for that. That way, when we got all the bids in, if we could fit one of those alternates into the project, then we can add it right away. But then
Right.
we know what the actual cost is to finish each of those areas. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
You could, yeah, so we could actually have them boxed in or have them, the expansion there for the 42, which is included in the 61. So the 171 is to finish each side, correct? Not one side or both?
That's correct.
Each.
Yep, and we could bid them separately so that when we got the bids in, say that we saw the bids come in really low, and we have those as alternates, and they say, okay, we can do the west side for 135, and we're under budget. We can go ahead as a board and award that portion of the project and finish that upper level.
Makes sense.
Right.
So tell me this, if we do put them upper expansions on and we finish one side and not the other, is there going to be any physical appearance from the outside that would look different?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Even if we don't put any up, the physical appearance is going to remain the same on the outside. The only difference would be on the inside that you wouldn't have upper mezzanine exposed.
Okay.
You'll just have a wall, a
Yeah,
blank wall.
Okay. I think I comprehend that. My other question is, I look at this drawing with the highlighted areas, the exercise area is actually a bumped out area then.
That's
Correct.
correct. Right now, and then we've given you the ability to add those area A and area B that's marked down there
Right?
sometime in the future. Say if it's 30, 40 years from now, you could always add those areas in.
Is that a single level or is that also could be a double level?
That would be a double level.
And all again controlled from the same control.
All
Okay.
from the same control room. That's
You can
correct.
see you can see them area B and area A from the control center.
You will be able to see in there. Those would be minimum security, but you could see in there, and plus all these areas are cameraed also.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd have to be.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I just want to make sure that, you know, we design this so we can see from the control area or from the control room that we can see around in a horseshoe that we can see everybody. So that's kind of what I was looking at. But the
Yeah.
exercise room would be bumped out 26 feet from the building then.
Yes,
How many beds would area B or area A add if they were added on?
24, with 12 per unit.
Yeah, 12
Okay.
each side.
Up and down, 6 up and 6 down.
That's correct.
40, 52, 62. So then we would actually be over. Yeah. So not, yeah.
And keeping in mind, you know, the thing about the beds is you want to keep the areas square.
Yeah.
So the number of beds is based on the unencumbered space in the area. So if you have so much unencumbered space, you can put another bed or two in there. So Rick has tried to maximize, you know, what we can put in that unencumbered area and keep the building square.
Yep. And I agree with that side of the building. Now I'm going to look at the top side of the drawing and all the way around it. It looks like instead of being square, we bump in down here by the holding area. We move over again to the, I would call it to the east or the south. It would be the way this looks, and then you bump up again. If you don't put the training room addition on, again, we're not square on that lobby area either. We're not square with that building.
No. And there's reasoning for that. There'll be a canopy over that video visit and stuff, depending on which way we're laying. That would be laying towards the north. So we'll probably want to protect that door somewhat.
Okay. Does this
the
number
vehicle sally port, you bump in at the vehicle sally port because you got to be able to get the vehicles in and out. And so the thing is, to keep that square, I don't want to add square footage because you're trying to get the cost down as low as possible. Is what?
Yeah, well, we're trying to get it down as low as possible. We want to compare. That's what we want to do.
Yeah. You're going to have some. I mean, you keep stuff as square as possible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, normally when you do a bump like that, it's going to cost more to do the bump than it is just to square it up and frame it, you know?
Yeah, in this particular
Well,
case,
it all depends on the area.
yeah. In this particular case, it probably wouldn't because you see where the holding cell is there, Mike?
Yep.
Okay, you follow that wall clear across. That is higher than the section in front of it. That's 16 foot. But that's the main security section between the jail and the admin.
Okay,
So then we're just coming off of that wall. So it doesn't matter where we put it really.
so we're just, all we're bumping in there is 6.5 feet or whatever it looks like.
Yep.
Okay, so in that 61, 61, 762 does not include that training room addition?
That's correct. I was told to take a look at that. So,
What's that add for cost?
well, let's go to option 3 because you're throwing
Okay.
me way off track, Mike. So,
I want to
option,
mix you up a little bit. I want to make,
I know you got to mix it up. So,
if I don't mix you up, I can't make sure you know what you're talking about.
there you go. So the option 3, this was the estimates to to provide shell for the future, that's to provide the shell for the future expansion, meaning that if you wanted to put that area A and B on, the cost for area A was an add of 92,664, and area B was 74,136. And basically those are backwards. The reason for area B being a little bit higher is we're adding that corridor in there also to get down there.
Okay.
Okay.
Both the same size areas, but we're just adding above the extra, or above the, outside the control room, is that?
Different sizes.
No, the area B that's listed there in area A, if we took and we just put the exterior walls up or shelled it in,
Yep.
that would be the cost to just shell it in, leave rock there, and then leave it for future expansion.
Okay, so basically, if you're looking at just above it, you're adding another 80,000 to finish it. From option 2.
Option 2 is finishing the 2 individual cell areas.
That's correct. That's what we're talking about.
Area
right?
A and B are the ones on the side of exercise.
Oh, okay.
So if we add the exterior walls and shell that in and just leave it blank, that's the cost to do that.
So that would be another 160,000 on top of the 61s, or the 346. Yeah, okay.
And
That
you could do
gives us
one
another.
24 beds.
Yeah, I don't know that we're
I don't know that we would do that, but I thought you wanted that number.
Yep, okay.
So,
Does anybody else have any questions about that?
No, I understand it.
I would not recommend that probably at this point in time if we're trying to keep
Well,
costs down.
And my point is, you know, in 20 years, if they need that area, it's going to be easy enough to put on there. What the cost is then, I guess, I'm not going to worry about it at that point.
Yeah.
None of us, maybe none of us will be.
But if we don't need it, then it's not a necessity at this point. But yeah.
Yeah. And then option 4, which I have option A should be option B and vice versa, but needless to say, was the 92,664, and then the cost to finish that area upper and lower. So the total cost to finish that area totally was 268,320. And actual cost to increase down below, the actual estimate of completing upper level would be the 56,555, which is included in the 268. Okay. But say you just wanted to build the bottom section, you could subtract 256,555 from the 268,320. Does
But
everybody?
we're still talking about areas A and B.
That's correct, which we're not planning on doing, but you
Which
wanted that cost.
From my personal feelings, we can eliminate them 2 areas. But
Well, I
that's
think if we can, if we do the 30 and then with the option of the the additional 12 to 42.
Right.
I think that's as far as we need to go.
Yeah.
We can have the shell put in for the other two if we want to do that. But
If the bids
as
came
far
in
as
low,
finishing
so-
it off, we certainly wouldn't do that at this point in time.
I think that, I agree with Jack that, at this point in time, I don't know if I'd add those expansion areas at all, A and B.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep going to where we're trying to get the cost down, and then if we start adding it back up, then we're gonna be back up where we were before. The 30 beds should catch us, for a good portion of time, let me put it that way.
Right. Well, we actually, yeah, if we consider the upper levels, we're still at 42.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Don't have to complete both of those. We can do one and just have.
And have the other one
6
shelled
additional
in.
beds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee County, we left the upper shell areas. That's our county. And we had a big spike in female population because the females were buying the precursors. So Rick and I went in and we were able to go in and move inmates around and finish some areas after the jail was opened. So,
Yeah.
I mean, those
yeah,
areas can be finished at any time.
that would depend on what the quotes or what the bids come back in at too.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if you just accepted the 30 for right now, you can come in the future and open that upper level open real easily.
No, I think.
Yeah.
So it's an option is all I'm saying.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, and then option 5 was the option to add conference training room. Rick squared it up, so it gives you future expansion capabilities within that. But the cost was $139,627 to add that conference training. Now, that is also for high-profile cases. If you bring other agencies in, or if you have an event, they can all meet in there and work off the Wi-Fi, like a tornado or something to that effect, that they can be working in there. So it's just not just a conference room. It's for training and other uses.
I guess my concern with the training, John, is I talked to a couple of the deputies and they basically said in the last 2 years, the only training they've ever had is CPR, and they did that at the fire station because they have the mannequins. So if they're not going to utilize that room, why should we build it?
Well, that room is used for the interview process, the interview rooms. And like I said, it's for other high-profile cases. It's for meeting with the squad room. It's for, supervisors use it here in Lee County for their meetings. So, it's used for a lot of different things, not just a training room. It's a multi-purpose situation. If you had to, Jack, in the future, you put a couple offices in there too. But
I guess by cutting that corner and saving, I can see where if you'd have a big case or if you'd have 10 to 12 to X amount of people discussing something that you need some type of meeting room.
yeah, that's the only meeting room we have for conferencing. And like I said, you're going to have other agencies and such in there that I'm telling you, they utilize that, Jack, on our other projects all the time.
Can you give me this number maybe? How many new facilities have not been built with a room like that?
None of the 36 I've done.
Yeah, 0 so far.
That's the only place you have for meetings. And I agree with Jack. Some of the training is done outside of the facility, but it is done outside of the facility for the mere fact that you don't have any place that you can do it in your facility. But CPR, you picked on one item, and I would anticipate they would do that, or at the fire station. But
Okay. So if I'm doing my math right, I'm going to take the 61, 7, 8, 62, which includes the upper 42.5, so I'm not adding that in. But I am adding if I want them two finished, I am adding 335. 350,000 for 171 and 160, 171, right?
So you're saying you want to finish the upper areas?
Option 2, yeah.
171, 652. And are you wanting the conference room in there?
I'm first. I just want to answer on these two. That's finishing them two, right?
Yep, that'd be in the range of 6.4 to 6.5.
Okay. Then the add the conference room.
The conference room was 139, 627. You're at about 6.6, I would say. And if you're doing them all at once, you're going to get a better price, I believe. You're going to get better pricing finishing them now than going and finishing them upper levels in the future.
Okay. And do you recall what our number was when we had the 50 bed expandable to 72?
I thought it was 6.895.
And then we had a $300,000 deduction because we had a.
Yeah, we're in the range of 7.1 at that point in time because we had the kitchen equipment. I do, when you looked at the estimate I sent you, I had the kitchen equipment in there for $120,000.
1,930.
I did see that. Yeah, I don't know where that paper's at. Oh, I got it right here. Okay. And we look at the break, I guess, Jack, you have a question on the breakdown?
No, I just asked if we were looking at this, the finishing those two and adding the conference room, we're looking at about 493,000.
Are you asking me a question, Jack, or?
I was just, if we added finishing those two, which would be 353,000, and then we finished the conference room area, we're looking at about 493,000.
482, 483.
Yeah, 171 and 171 is what, 343?
Yeah. And I figured if you do that all at once, you're probably going to reduce that cost. But, you know, it depends on when we're able to go to bring this to the public. And, you know, if we're out till March, we would, let's say that if we take it to the public in September, where September, October, November, December, January, February is when you'd be bidding of 2021. If we have to go out till March, it would be, you know, September, October of 2021. So I've tried to leave some cost in there. And as you can see, there's 385,000, 386,000 that I have in there for contingency right now. So, I mean, if we do well during the bids, then we could see that cost be lower. So I think what we need to do, and what I'd recommend, is we pick a figure, whether it's 6.3 or whatever you feel comfortable with. And that's what we go with. And then we bid these three as alternates if you feel that's what we should do. Those three areas as alternates. That way we protect our budget. I mean, some people talk a recession and some people are talking an increase in price. And I got a call from the paper. I said, if I had a crystal ball, I could probably tell you. But you know, we need to get the main building built. I think that that's what everybody has been telling me, or that's what I've understood, that we need to get this minimum of 30 beds built and bid these others as alternates project.
I agree. We still haven't heard anything about special elections, huh, Lisa?
No, I haven't, but I certainly can look into it if that's what you would like to see. I think it's the Tuesday after the Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, it's September,
Yeah.
so.
I hope that we can have an election this fall for it. I hope we don't have to wait till next spring, because then that delays everything. Mhm.
Is it the first Tuesday of the month, Lisa?
I
Typically?
think it was that first Tuesday after the Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, it's the
I
first
thought it-
Tuesday after the first Monday.
Yep.
So
That would be the 1st of September.
basically, with you got a $400,000 contingency in here,
You
I
can
mean,
you
if the
damn
bids
near
come
do it.
back, attractive, then we could almost wipe that off of there, which would be back down to 6.1 or 0.2. Yeah.
I'm just saying, give yourself a little protection, you know, if you want to choose 6.2.
Oh, Mike's got it.
Designed to that. I mean,
No,
if
you
you want to
do
go
it.
to 6.3, that's an option too.
Yeah.
Just to allow yourself
Well,
some coverage.
like you said, once we get the 30 bed bid, then we could go ahead. If we did that, then we could look at our options. Yeah.
Well, if we had bid that separately, we can decide when the bids come in, if we can add on or if we can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that, you know, that we need to get the main section of the building done. I mean, I heard stuff and I put in something, you know, that, you know, we had some people there saying, well, it's such and such per bed and such, and now that we decreased to 30, it's such and such a bed, and the cost per bed. You can't look at it that way. I mean, that was ridiculous in that meeting to look at it in that fashion, because as we decrease the size of the number of beds and the size of the jail, we had to maintain the individual beds to get the classifications that you guys wanted.
That's important classifications. It's easy to add up and say, well, yeah, this is what it costs, and then divide it by the number of beds. It's easy to do that, but you still have your infrastructure costs.
Yeah, doesn't work that way.
Yeah, because I still have the emergency generator plan for the size of the future facility. I still have to bring the electrical mains in. I have to bring the sanitary main in. So those costs don't decrease just because you reduce the number of beds. Those costs remain consistent. So as you go higher, of course, you're getting, you know, if you go more beds, then it gives you the appearance that it's a lower cost per bed. But I'm telling you what Rick has drawn here is the most efficient plan that you can have. It's going to meet the number of classifications you want. It's going to meet the minimum number of beds that you're going to need for the next 20 years or so. And it offers you the expansion capabilities in the future. I thought that's what the public was asking for.
I think so. And I guess I just want to reiterate to the public, and you guys correct me, Rick and John, if I'm wrong. If we don't build a facility, we still have to have a holding and a transport facility. We still have to be able to book them and to hold them and to transport, correct?
And I'm going to be calculating that, but to calculate it, Mike, I needed to determine the board to say, okay, this is what we're going to do, John. We're going to design the facility to 6.3, or we're going to design it to 6.2. That way, when I put the figures in, you know, once I give them to you, they're going to be out there in public and we aren't going to be able to change. You know, that's what's going to stick in their mind.
My own personal feeling is I don't know that I can say I want a 6.3 number or a 6. I'd like a 6.1 number, but I want to know what the 30 bed is, and then I want my bang, bang, bang 4 options. I want to add on that wing, add on this wing, add on the.
Well, we have those figures.
Yeah.
We have those figures and we can
But,
decide.
one thing I don't see here is the utility building that you're talking about.
That is, I put that in there that I do not have the utility billing. That'd be about 82,000. That would come out of contingency if we have the money to do it.
82, how many square foot was that?
That was a 40 by 64.
And it did have one heated and air conditioned area?
We're at 96 on Henry County with 3 air conditioned areas.
With 3 air conditioned areas.
Yeah, because they split theirs into a large evidence room, and then also, and that's electrical and everything, all lights and everything else. They wanted phone out there and everything, so you know you're in that range of $86,000 to $92,000.
Well, you can give or take there too, what you need, I guess, you know. I mean, first of all,
Yeah.
we need, it doesn't make any sense for us to rent a construction building if we can have a building for storage and or evidence at some point.
Well, and it's
yeah,
possible that comes out of a budget too. Maybe that comes out of sheriff's budget. He needs.
Maybe that's a improvement, you know, maybe
Yeah.
that, you know.
Well, you don't have to swallow the whole camel at once, do you?
Right.
So, I mean,
That could come out of conservation too, because they'd like a place to put some of their equipment under roof and have a workshop that's heated. They're in a very small garage down in Bellevue, and anytime they work on anything in the wintertime, they have to take everything out during the day and move stuff back in at night. So we're kind of looking at maybe
We could rent it out to them.
we could rent it out.
I'm guessing once that building up is gonna be full.
Yeah, I'll find out.
It'll be full.
Yeah, it'll be full.
Just as so everybody knows, the date of the special election would be Tuesday, September 8th. And I have not heard, I am going to go with the assumption that the state will not be having any more suspensions of elections. So I would suspect that this will be a good date.
the only problem I can see, Lisa, is the ability to market a lot of the marketing would have to be done by social media and stuff like that in lieu of the supervisors being able to go out and attend public meetings at first. But given the time we have, it would appear that we should be able to get the information out there to the public.
Well, once we make the decision, I mean, after that, we can do whatever we want as far as promoting. We have several months to do that, so I would think that we'd have time to try to sell the project. We had one of our candidates for sheriff says we don't need a new jail, that it's just a bunch of, their scare tactics are going out. They're not going to close the jail, and that
No
amazes
jail, and
me
the old
that-
one's going to stay open forever. So
Well, you got to consider your liability. You have one hanging in there, and you got them bars and everything else. There's just so much that can go wrong in that facility.
Well, we
And
know
you
about
know
some-
what? We've outgrown it. You've outgrown that facility, and you're still going to ship out. So there is a cost associated, and I'll work up that cost based on if you guys feel comfortable with what I did on the inmate analysis, I'd work up that cost for you. But that cost's going to go on, not for the first couple of years, first 20 years that we'd have the bond payments, but it will continue on after that until we do it. And it's not going to become any cheaper to do it. I mean, where are you going to get 2% money in the future? I mean,
Well, yeah, your bond that's going to save us some money right there, but
yeah.
well, that's the whole thing. There is a sunset to the cost of this thing.
That's correct. I mean, there is no sunset. And you know what? We're going to travel further and further away as we have to ship out. I mean, this thing has thrown everything into kind of a whirlwind that people aren't willing to accept out of county inmates as quickly as they were before. And plus, they're wanting the good people. They don't want the bad people. And we don't have that ability to separate the bad people from our facility. You know, we put one person that's had a stabbing or something in one of our cell blocks, that whole cell block shot. So
Right.
I guess, would it be correct to assume, if I'm doing these comparisons, that we're going to be at the 6.2?
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Okay. Is it anticipated that we'd be at 6.3?
We will look at our options.
we're selling.
To be honest, John, I mean, we're at the 30 bed, we're basically at our minimum. So from there, we go wherever, how far we want to go. We do think that's feasible to go.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a minimum of 6.2 and we designed to that, and we can work with you guys to make sure, and then bid these alternates out to protect our budget, to make sure we get the 30 bed, and then we make decisions on what we're going to add or from there.
That's right. That's what we have to do. We have to bid it out, see what the options come in at, and if we can do those as well, yes. But if we can't, the 30 beds is what we'd have to stick with.
Yeah, because none of us know what these materials are going to do and stuff.
Right.
I mean, especially if we have to wait till March, we don't know what the cost of that material is going to be in November of 2021. I mean, I wish I did, but I feel like we have some contingency in there, and we've tried to cover our bases as best as possible.
And to be honest, if everything blows sky high, then when the bids come back, we still make a decision then. You know?
Yeah, we got to make the decision based on current situation. We can only base our decisions on what we know today.
That's right. You can't guesstimate what the future's going to bring.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had people in that public meeting throwing things out, 1% increase, 2% increase. You know, projection's just that, projection. I've tried to be fair. I've dropped this down to 1% increase on inmate population. I believe that's at the way bottom end. We're at 32 at the top end. I still believe strongly that those figures in the inmate analysis are way lower than what we'll experience as we move forward. So we're not overbuilding, I guess.
We hope not, but I kind of tend to agree with you. But I guess the other thing is, John, that we did not address, and one of the major issues that come up the last time is how many individuals is it going to take to staff it? Everybody was worried about staffing needs, and at that time, we had it confirmed from the jail inspector, I believe, that we could staff it with the current staff that we have now.
And that was in the last report that I forwarded to you from our last meeting. And we have the letters from the state jail inspector, the schedule that was supplied to him on how we're going to operate that facility. And at a 30-bed jail, I know that Howard County is running a 30-bed jail on way less than what you even have in there as far as staffing.
Well, a lot of it depends on the management of the jail.
I agree with you there, Jack, on how you manage that jail. If you manage it properly, there is no reason that you would have an increase until you started adding on these area A's and area B's. And even adding the upper levels there, you still have good views into those areas. There's no reason that you should have to increase staff at this time.
I agree.
Good. Thank you.
And I put that in the last meeting minutes to you guys and stuff, and copied Rick on it. So I think Rick's done an excellent job of trying to get the cost down for you, trying to get a facility drawn that we can get built for you.
I guess the only thing that's left that we're going to have to discuss and hash out, and I can't pull my hair out because I don't have any, but is what we're going to do with the the current facility.
You probably got the option to getting a haircut though.
Yeah, I've got a wife that can do that.
I might come
But,
see
you
her.
know, the thing is, that's one of the issues that the people are bringing up.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with the space after you leave it?
And the current facility, I took a look at that, Jack. I tried to address some of the things in there.
You did, not to my satisfaction, but I know you did.
I mean, that one, we added that small addition on it, you know, like 1,400 square foot. But that jail section has concrete roof in it and stuff, and I mean,
know.
it would be hard to renovate that particular area. But
Well, sprinkler system, yeah.
yeah, well, do we need more parking for the courthouse? I mean, take it down, don't pay the utilities, or do you sell it? I mean, the last thing we want to do is put money into something that's not worth it. And I think we ran into that on that.
They never give me an answer. I've asked them 4 times. They haven't given me an answer. I
For
would
what?
think
That's something we have to deal with.
it would be logical for them, I would think.
Yeah.
But
Thanks, John. We'll be back
anything
in
else
touch.
you want from us right now?
No, I'm gonna base the comparison on the 6.2. Whether you go 6.3 or whatever you do at that point in time, 100,000 isn't gonna make or break us, but it'll give us a comparison, I think, that you requested as far as holding only, no jail, holding only, and then new jail.
Yep.
And then we'll get that to you here in a week or so, and then go over that. You guys will have an opportunity to talk about this a little bit further. You know, you're welcome to call me anytime, any of you.
Yep.
And I'm going to be working with Lisa on. I just don't understand these budgets, so I got to work with Lisa on the food costs and the inmate costs.
Good luck.
That'd be good. We wish somebody could.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand it. So
Yeah, that's fine, John. Give me a call anytime and whatever, I can email you or we can talk on the phone. We can get it resolved.
yeah, I got the budgets, but I don't understand some of it. So
Yep.
and that'll also give us the out of county inmate costs that we've spent over the years too, Mike.
Okay, appreciate that.
So part of this food thing, there is a scheduled menu, which I think they brought up before. So can we look at the state menu and compare that to the product we're buying, the food? Does that fit into that menu
I mean,
outline?
there has to be an average cost. I could Google it and say, what it costs to feed a prisoner every day.
Oh yeah, we could just take that and then come up with a cost and then break it down from there. But I just want to make sure that I'm using the correct cost, because once you put information out there, you can't switch people's minds.
I know.
And
Well, I have the cost for 7th Judicial. I sit on that board. There's 180 some people there with the work release program and stuff, and the cost per meal is $3.14.
I would say that would be at the higher end. Typically you're in the 250 range, and it's dependent on how many people you're holding.
Well, we're not doing that here.
We should be able to come up with a number here, though.
Yeah, we should have.
Realistically, you should be about 250 to 350. And I'll check with Lee County down here. Stacy Weber, I know the sheriff down here real well. He can probably tell me, because he's been working with the prison and working on the cost for himself. He wants to add his own kitchen and increase, and at least create jobs. So I'll work with him on that too, and I should be able to get you something that's pretty standard.
That would be very, very well appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah, when you say a week or two, don't make that 4 or 5, because I have a tendency to forget in 4 or 5 weeks.
I know. Well, keep this in front of you, and I wanted to make sure that I tried to highlight the stuff so we could do it very easily.
Oh, this was good. This was good. I like the options, and yeah, we can do some simple math if that's the case, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm available anytime. So I'm going to jump on this, and, I'd like to finish it, if by next week, if not the following week. Because we're running into May now, so you got May, June, July, August, and then we're into September, so we need to finish this up for
Oh, we
you.
want to make a decision here in the next month or so, so.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Okay, appreciate it very much, John, Rick.
Thanks,
Yeah,
John.
thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, stay
Okay.
healthy.
Thank you.
You too.
Hey, John,
Yes.
did you get 8 inches of snow down there? You deserve it, you know?
Oh, we got 6. It was a mess. We're working in Manchester right now. They missed the snow up
Yeah,
there.
they did miss it. They
So,
certainly did miss it. I was just kidding. Don't deserve it, but
you guys have a great day.
yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
What's this?
I think Lisa may have addressed that already
Okay.
with the
Oh, the abstract. company.
abstract company.
It'll be taken care of next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
thank you.
So we were actually working on any other boards or commission reports. And I think
Completed
Jack.
mine.
Hey, I'm not sure it's a good morning, but anyway.
I muted him.
Who was that?
What?
That was Rick, and I muted him.
Oh.
Oh, he was talking to somebody else.
Yes.
Okay.
Future, any unfinished business? Really no new updates on the COVID, I don't think. I did hear yesterday that we had one more case in Jackson County.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, maybe rural Macokota somewhere. I don't know for sure anything other than that. And then that's all I need to know.
It said in the paper when they were talking about it, that the 4 we have are,
Not here.
well,
Three have,
the 4 that we have are past it. They're
Oh,
Recovered.
recovery.
recovered.
recovered.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 they've recovered.
There's quite a few more in Clinton County.
Yeah.
In the last few days.
I guess, yeah, what happens is when they get a big outbreak, and of course, God forbid that we have to shut down the facilities for cattle and hog facilities to operate, but
They did reopen one of them.
Yeah.
I think.
but they're closely knit, and it's a tight community, and that's where the big numbers come from. So hopefully we can get over the edge here. And
Amen.
Well, that's scary. I mean, just in the last week, we doubled from 20,000 to 40,000 died in the United States. So it's a long ways from being over, that's for sure.
any other business before the board this morning? I just want to update you guys a little bit. I know Human Resources Becky's been working with our prospective county that we could get into an agreement maybe with a engineer. So we're working on a 28E with their attorney, and
Good.
hopefully we'll have something by maybe next Monday. They meet on Monday, so it's a possibility that
Okay.
they would want us to meet with them on a Zoom meeting on Monday if they have any questions. So if that's possible, that could be in the makings.
So would that be on our agenda for next week possibly to make a
We will
decision?
have it on our agenda, whether we make a decision or take action. Yeah, I think we'll put it on our agenda if we
Okay,
can.
just in case.
Right.
Okay.
Everything looked reasonable to them. It was just a basic of whether, the county attorney agreed to a few items in there for what the responsibilities might be. So looked pretty positive. I can
Good.
say that. So any other questions before the board?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you all and stay healthy.